Welcome to the West Canada Valley Board of Education meeting, August 9th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Administrative reports. Mr. Doherty?
Not a ton has changed since last month when I spoke to you, but fall sports still at this point are looking to return to normal. The soccer numbers we talked about before, we still have 13 confirmed names for that, another 4 potential ones out there, but we won't know until practices start and kids show up for that. The football schedule is still being reworked because the Section 4 schools pulled out of that, so most of the schedule is done, but there's still one game in there that we're waiting on. That comes down from the section, that's not something we do ourselves. Boosters kickoff tourney is still set for September 11th and 12th. Girls teams Notre Dame, Old Forge, and Sherburne. Boys teams are Canastota, Camden, and Sherburne. New football uniforms have been ordered. Winter sports basketball schedules are all set. Still no word on the indoor spectators, no word on indoor track. Girls basketball uniforms have also been ordered this year. And boys basketball modified uniforms are in the process of being designed. We'll still, or I mentioned this last time too, we're going to do a tip-off tournament for the girls, so the girls will have their own tip-off tournament. The boys will continue to have the winter boosters tournament. All the ordering supplies, Ms. McCree's done in the business office, those are all coming in. Outdoor banquet went really well. Fall sports sign-ups, they're still hanging on the wall down there. I do have kids periodically email me, because I emailed them all through the year, but they don't check their email very much during the year, let alone over the summer. And the one bit of good news that we did have, I submitted another grant to the Wattas Foundation to expand the disc golf course that we had. So we currently have 9 baskets that went in. It was a very primitive setup, but we didn't want to go all in until we realized we had some people using it. But I've gotten a ton of feedback through the app, and people are liking it, they're using it. But it didn't. The feedback that I did get that it was missing was the stuff that I already knew. We didn't have proper teeing areas, we didn't have signage and all that stuff out there. But now that we have, a little fan base going, and that I put another grant in for it, and they gave that to us, which I think you're going to accept at the meeting next month or whatever. But we'll be able to get 10 more baskets, so 9 more. So you'll have a front 9, a back 9, a practice area, tee boxes, and signs, all through the Wattas Foundation. So thank you very much to them.
I want to mention just when it comes to the area of athletics, the New York State Athletic Association announced that the scheduling of the seasons is to go as scheduled as of right now. So, as of last year, everybody recalls all the different seasons and all these different things. The section tournaments are back in play, the state tournaments back in play. So, unless something changes between now and the start, as of right now, the athletic schedule season is to go on as it was prior to the pandemic. So that's come from the state level. Again, we'll see if anything changes with that, but that's where we're at this point in time.
When did fall sports start?
23rd for varsity, 30th for modified. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Ray?
So our 3 new buses came in a couple weeks ago. They'll be on the road within a week or so. The summer school over to Frankfurt was done last week. Elementary is wrapping up this week, so we'll still have a couple special needs buses running for another 2 weeks. We're waiting on BOCES for some locations so we can finish up the bus runs. BOCES is still letting us know where the students are going to be placed. Speed reduction out here in the front. The guy I was talking to down to the state has retired, so I have a new contact. The new contact gave me the address I need to send everything to. The town of Newport approved having a look at the intersection out here to make sure we can reduce the speed. So hopefully next month they'll be along in their process.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ray?
Yeah, so Mr. Broadbent and Mrs. Holmes aren't able to be with us tonight, but I do have a couple things. I want to talk a little bit about what they're doing. I also want to talk about our enrollment at this point. I gave you a copy of as of this morning's enrollment for the district. You can see it is grade by grade on the front page. I think the elementary is on the front, so you can see what our current enrollment is as of today. Generally, that will go up a little bit as we get a little bit closer, because we'll have our last week for school enrollments, or right the day before school enrollments sometimes, that'll be added in. But you can see the numbers. We are at 316 students in K through 6. And on the second page is our high school class enrollments that we have right now. We are at 304 students currently at the high school level at this point in time. Any questions on enrollment? I want to, just one other thing, I'm sorry. I want to mention, you have the reports that we'll approve tonight, and the work that's being done right now over the summer. We've had a great turnout for summer program in the elementary. I want to thank the parents and the kids itself. They really committed to that this summer. The attendance has been good. Our teachers have committed to that this summer. It's been a really good program. I feel really good. I don't think we're looking for miracles with different things, but in a general sense, keeping the kids active over the summer's been great. The program's been great. Through that time, we've also developed our educational plans for next year. Mr. Broadbent has spearheaded all of that, along with a lot of parents that were involved and teachers and so forth that were with that. And I think they've come up with really good plans that the state is really happy with at this point in time and has approved, as I had mentioned to you. So they've done a great job. Our facilities, Mr. Ray, Ms. Crossett, and all our facility workers in getting the building, they had to empty out all of our storage containers so that they could take those away and then bring in the 2 new storage containers that we were buying, and getting the rooms ready and the waxing of the floors and getting the rooms set up, and being patient with me as I get more guidance in terms of where we're going to go with this, how many kids in the classroom, which I'll talk a little bit about tonight, and so forth. So we're on hold with a lot of things, and they know that, but they're continuing to work along. So I just want to mention all of those things as we're going forward. We're trying to get, Mrs. Holmes, if she were here, would be saying this as well. We're trying to get our class lists and our teacher assignments out. We have them basically set so that parents can know who their elementary teachers are. We're just holding off just quickly until we're able to meet with public health to know exactly what we've got. So the fear is that we don't want to, and I'll mention this a little bit later, we don't want to assign somebody and then have to call them back up and say we need to move kids out of there, if people, especially if people are happy with what they have and so forth. So normally we would have them out right now, and I know there's a level of anxiousness to get that, supplies and things like that, but I want to make sure that we're all set and we have our plan set, and I have all the information from our local agencies before we finalize some things. So, and I expect to by the end of the week to at least have a significant amount of information on that, which I'll talk about later. So that's really the administrative reports that I'm going to propose, Mr. Broadbeck, Mrs. Holmes.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is that the one with the minute things?
Yeah.
Okay, DJ's oath of office, isn't it?
My oath in minutes.
Yeah.
What was it?
DJ's oath of office isn't in here. He took the oath when we did, right?
Oh, okay,
It's not listed in there.
okay, I'll add that on.
All right, a motion for the consent agenda. We have Jessica first, Janine second, all in favor. Motion to go into executive session for appointment personnel matters, including review and appointment of employees and contract negotiations. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor.
One.
Thank you and welcome back. Action items, we're gonna do the personnel report. Resignations, I need a motion to approve Cheryl Anderson, teacher assistant, resignation for the purpose of retirement effective August 31st, 2021. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor? Motion to approve the resignation of Chastity Morton, bus monitor, effective August 27th, 2021. Jessica first, Janine second, all in favor? Motion to approve the resignation of Laura Brower, monitor, effective August 31st, 2021. Sarah first, Jessica second, all in favor? Motion to approve the resignation of Eileen Lindsay, monitor, effective August 31st, 2021. Janine first, Jessica second, all in favor? Appointments. Need a motion to approve the appointment of Carly Maloney, science teacher, 4-year probationary appointment in the 10-year area of science, 7 through 12, step 1 of the teacher bargaining agreement effective September 1st, 2021. Sarah first, Janine second, all in favor? Motion to approve the appointment of Laura Brower, one-on-one aide, step 10 of the CSEA bargaining agreement effective September 1st, 2021. Jessica first, Sarah second, all in favor? Motion to approve the appointment of Eileen Lindsay, teacher assistant, step 6 of the CSEA bargaining agreement effective September 1st, 2021. Janine first, Jessica second, all in favor? Motion to approve the appointment of Courtney Crossett, school bus monitor, full-time, step 5 of the CSEA bargaining agreement effective September 1st, 2021. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor? Motion to approve the appointment of Caitlin Palmer, substitute teacher, teacher assistant, monitor aide K through 12 for the district approved rate sheet effective September 1st, 2021. Sarah first, Jessica second, all in favor? Motion to approve the appointment of Cheryl Anderson, substitute teacher, teacher assistant, monitor aide K through 12 per the district approved rate sheet effective September 1st, 2021. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor? I need a motion to approve the tax levy of $5,139,357. Jessica first, Janine second, all in favor? I need a motion to approve the Madison Oneida BOCES contract for the provision of services not to exceed $39,790 in regards to our Warwick.
What services, extra services do we get?
There's 2-year agreements for the printers in the building, printers, copiers,
It's
that
a
kind of.
5-year warranty extension and toner supplies.
And service.
Yeah, service.
Motion to approve. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor? The district plan of professional development. I need a motion to approve the professional development plan dated September 1st for the 2021-2022 school district. Jessica first, Janine second, all in favor? Motion to approve the West Canada Valley district-wide school safety plan for 2021 through 2022. Sarah first, Jessica second, all in favor? Now, the building safety plan, DJ has here if anybody needs to see it.
Just as a review of that, this is the confidential plan that is submitted. It's not distributed, it's submitted to the New York State Education Department, New York State Police, and our medical agencies. So it is essentially the larger document of the district-wide safety plan with specific details of where we would go, where we would evacuate to, those kinds of things in terms of our safety plan, which is a continuation of our agreements we've had in the past.
So I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 building safety plan. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor? I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 district comprehensive improvement plan. Janine first, Jessica second, all in favor? I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 school comprehensive education plan. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor?
So just to say, all these plans that you're approved tonight will be, with the exception of the confidential plan, will be posted on the website for everyone to view.
Okay. Discussion items, opening plan update, DJ?
So today, if you haven't gotten an opportunity to read, I distributed a memo today that really didn't have a ton of information in it, as I apologize, because I don't have an enormous amount of information at this stage of the game, but I did want to provide some people with some overall updates. I've had a lot of conversations with parents and some different people that have had questions, and I talked to a few today as well. We're just kind of going back, and I think most people know this, but I just think it's important for us to speak, pretty candidly about this at this point in time. The difference between last year at this time and this year at this time is we were awaiting guidance from the state government in Albany, the New York State Department of Health, in regards to what needed to be included in reopening plans, what restrictions were involved with all of that. So as you've seen in the news in the past week and a half, it has been released, as we all sat here and they said they were almost done with it, and they were going to release that to us, have now stated that none of this guidance is going to come from the New York State government, nor is it going to come from the New York State Department of Health. And it's going to be left down to the local county health agencies, which in our case would be Herkimer County Public Health, and the districts that are in Herkimer County and the individual district decisions. So the next question that people ask, what does that mean? I don't know yet what that means. What they've given us as guidance is that there is a Center for Disease Control, as I mentioned in my memo, guidance document on schools and in-person learning that we are to use as our guide. Now, with that being said, the questions remain if we're making regional and local decisions as to what that means for us. Okay, here's the guide, here are some of the recommendations from the national level, but from a local level, what does that mean for us? And what does that mean for what this school would look like? But what I wanted to be very clear of as of today is I don't think anything has changed from what I talked about last month, which are some of the biggest items. The fact that it still appears that we will be able to have every kid in this building every day with regular schedules. We will be able to load our buses like we did before with the kids that need the transportation. And it appears that the activities, the sports, those kinds of things are going to be in play for the regular scheduling and so forth. What's not clear right now is the regulations in regard to mask wearing, regulations in regard to spacing in the rooms, although reducing it from 6 to 3 feet, which they've already done, allows a school our size to basically immediately fit kids in a classroom. So that's why I can confidently say that we'll be able to fit everybody in here. Unless the New York State Education Department dictates this, and I don't expect them to do that, the expectation, like it's been pre-pandemic, is for the kids to attend West Canada in person. The remote option and the half-day options that we had available this past year for the pandemic are no longer in place. And again, as I say these things tonight, this is on August 9th. I don't have enough information to finalize a plan and to come out and say that, but that's the goal we're still going toward. So when are we going to have those answers? The regional superintendents are meeting this week with Herkimer County Public Health to discuss what that announcement means and what that means from Herkimer County Public Health. Whether they're going to make recommendations to us, or they're going to dictate things to us in terms of what we have to follow. Those are the sort of questions that we have. And there's a long list of excuse me, questions. You know, from mask wearing, from mask wearing to cafeteria to social distancing to hallways to locker rooms. And I mentioned these things in the memo today because I have a long list of questions as to, you know, is there a number on group gatherings in one room? All these types of things. You know, is it going to be everybody has the option to wear the mask in the building? And if you don't want to wear it, you don't. And if you're not vaccinated or you're vaccinated, all those sort of questions that kind of come into play, those are all questions that we need answers for before we can really come forward with a definitive plan. What is really left to us as a local district out there? You know, although local districts, I'm sure we're going to want to make their own decisions. We still want to make sure that we're listening to those recommendations and those safety recommendations, I should say, that are coming down from both the national, state, and local levels. So, you know, we don't have all the information to make decisions yet, so that's the important thing, and it's therefore I'm not going to make any recommendations to anybody in this room until I have all the information as well. It's just, it wouldn't be fair to say these things. You know, I think everybody in this room has the same goal, everything I just talked about, so that's the goal we're working for at this point in time. And, you know, I expect over the next few weeks to have continual updates out to the public. You know, I had a question, you know, will the parents have input on this? The parents always have input, you know, to the extent that the input is, you know, valuable or we're able to accommodate input. So, you know, will we be required to have a public hearing? As of right now, no, but we'll see. There may be a night that we need to kind of illustrate what we're doing depending on the meeting, so I haven't really made those decisions yet either. Still, as I mentioned, waiting to hear. So there's still a lot of unknowns. You know, we have been raised, you know, Herkimer County and, you know, I'm not a statistical necessary or a health professional, but we have been raised in Herkimer County to substantial at this point in time, which has changed the dynamic since last month. There's a recommendation for mask wearing at this point in time. So all of those kinds of things need to be taken into consideration and what those mean at this point in time. And right now, the county executives and the county leaders are not issuing mandates for that. There's still recommendations under these categories. So we need to hear a little bit more about what all that means as well. So that's where I'm at today in terms of opening and where we're going with this. You know, as you can see, we're still distancing in here the best we can. You know, we're doing our best to distance, and we're mask wearing in our summer schools and things like that. So, you know, we're still staying pretty cautious here as to where we're going to go with this.
Are we doing schedules, at least in the middle school, high school, kind of like normal, like they'll have music, band and chorus, and regular gym, swim and all that?
Yeah, so as of right now, the schedules are going forward as they were pre-pandemic. Again, waiting to hear, but we may have to run a couple different lunchrooms if we have to space some things like we did last year. If we have to space out, we may have to use some of the desks for the cafeteria. I'm interested to hear the thoughts on band and chorus, which had a more extensive requirement. It started at 12 feet last year for that park, and then they reduced it at mid-year to 6. So there's no guidance on that in the CDC document in terms of where they want that to go. So that's a question we'll have. Obviously, the cafeteria is a big deal. The mask wearing on the bus, you know, it sounds like we're going to follow the transit guidance, which would allow for, you know, enhanced occupancy of those buses with mask wearing. So I'm anticipating that being the case on the buses, that we can run our bus runs the way we always run them, but, you know, they'll be required to wear masks. Question will be, are they going to be required to wear masks if we're social distance, or are they able to remove them at that point in time? Those are all the questions that, you know, are on the table right now to ask this week, so we can get some idea of where to go with this. Does anybody have any questions for me tonight, any of the members of the board, in terms of anything I said or anything you had coming in tonight that you I want to thank everybody here. We've, you know, I say this over and over again, since last year, you know, this board and you've been really supportive. We've worked together to try to make the best decisions. I'm not gonna sit here and say that every decision we made as a group or myself individually or our principals has been perfect. I know not everybody's going to agree with them. You know, I know there's people frustrated. I know there's people on the other hand of this that are really concerned about the safety coming back and so forth. So, you know, all these different variables are going to be taken into account, and then we try to make the best plan and the best decisions we can. You know, with the idea that we want our kids in school. So.
Anything else? All right, capital project.
Okay. So I provided you with a document. We've been talking about this this project for the last, you know, half of the year here and so forth. Again, on paper here, not much has changed. We had some meetings since our last board meeting, we had some meetings with our construction companies, our advisors and so forth, and talked a little bit about our concerns and what we actually want to spend and what we are able to spend. And I think, you know, as we talked about it, we went through the meeting, and I think I want to reiterate this tonight, is on paper here, I want to keep emphasizing this. These are pre-referendum numbers that are very, very artificial in a sense. And what we're really looking at here is a scope of items that we would like to potentially address, and a total number that we definitely do not want to exceed. And even in agreement with the do not to exceed number does not mean in any way, shape, or form that you have to eventually spend that. So as this project evolves and we go out to bid and the work comes in and we start to see what the dollar amounts for this, there is nothing to say that we have to accept any bids for this. We don't want to do or carry out the work that's involved here. Couple unknowns. What makes this an interesting project is the federal funds, as you see on this sheet that are in the green areas, are areas that we're just highlighting right now that we think the federal money would be able to fit into. There's a chance that more of this could go into the federal money, especially if these dollar amounts are far less than what's on paper here. So if we don't spend the money that's in the green area here, and we have additional federal funds, we'll pull all their qualified items into that, which again would reduce the total amount of money that's in the regular piece of that. But we don't know that right now. So what we're looking at is an agreement by this board that this is the work we want to see if we can get done. And right now on paper, this work is set not to exceed $4.9 million. So, you know, and with an emphasis on this, that we don't want this to impact, you know, our taxpaying community, you know, and I think that's been pretty clear in terms of our discussion, you know, and sometimes you make decisions on what you can afford and what you want to do and the impact you want to have in terms of your budget. So I think that's the message I want to give you, and that's the message we kind of talked about with Chase and Synthesis is, you know, they throw out, and again, these have all the additional architectural costs and service costs and all these different things. So when you look at these numbers, they can be scary at times. But typically in any sort of project, especially when you're leveraging federal money, there's some ways to do that. You may decide that we get pretty close and we want to leverage some of, you know, and Kelly won't want me to say this, but you might decide you want to leverage some general fund money toward it to offset any sort of tax impact at the end. These are decisions that you can make later on. Yes, we want this work to get done, but we really don't want, you know, to impact our taxpaying community in that way. So there's a lot of decisions in terms of the individual items that are on this and what those will look like and what we want. That's the next phase of the project. So when we start to look at, you know, and I'll use simple things like carpeting in the auditorium, what do we want that to look like? What do we want the bleachers to look like? You know what, we don't want them that big. We want to reduce that. What's going to be the new cost of that as we start to evolve that scope? So really what you're doing here is getting the ball rolling. You're giving an approval to move forward with the project at a not to exceed number. with the items that are listed on here, and then we manage this budget the way we want to manage this budget, and we continue to work the project. The interesting part about this project is some of this work would get done very quickly, even in the first year, because of our use of the federal money right from the get-go here. So we would expedite some things if we were to receive voter approval on the project. We would expedite some of these federal items in regards to ventilation and air quality systems and exhaust fans. We would expedite that pretty quick and leverage that money and get the work done. So you start to see some work getting done here over a year quicker than we would have expected before you found the money was released. So that's the basis for the information on this. And again, I turn it back over to all of you as you look at this document and so forth. And if there are specific items on this scope that you look at right now that you're saying absolutely, I don't think we're doing this. We certainly can cut an item here and there, but ultimately I'd hate to see you cut something right now, in terms of not knowing what everything's going to cost and what the bids would come in at in terms of the project. So that's my information to provide you tonight. And what we would look at tonight is, can we agree to the overall pre-referendum scope and the amount of money to move forward with that, and then get all the other processes going. The first process would be the seeker process, which we've been working with our lawyers on and our architects, which would be the environmental study. And then we get the ball rolling toward putting together the overall presentation of this project and the scope of it for the community, and we would stay on schedule for a potential November public vote in terms of getting the project kicked off.
So before we do an emotion, any questions, anything? No? So looking for a motion to move forward with the capital projects as presented, but not to exceed $4.9 million, $458,000. Jessica first, Janine second, all in favor? Thank you for all that work.
Thank you for all the work you guys have done to get us started with this, and we'll work like we did in the last project to make this manageable.
And when you get down to the detail, some of the scopes, some of
Yeah,
members
yep,
that have a,
yep.
okay.
For sure.
All right, Board of Education goals that were in our packet. Anybody have any suggestions that want to change any of this?
So these goals are posted on our website once you approve your goals for the upcoming school year. Board goals in general are, overall arching goals. They're not necessarily targeted specific goals for a year. They're meant to be, overall expectations of what you'd like to see in your district and so forth. So general, a lot of times they can be updated, but they can be rolled over to the next year because they're goals that are not just short-term or long-term. So, and obviously, as superintendent, I base my goals off of yours and try to assist the district in achieving what we're looking to get to. Yeah, if there's no questions or nobody that has any concerns or updates that want to, you can approve your board goals tonight, yes.
Does anybody have any questions or any discussion? Okay, motion to approve our Board of Education goals for the 2021-2022 school year. Sarah first. Janine second, all in favor? Policy 6150, alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and other substances.
Okay, so as frequently we do here, as we continue to maintain and keep stay up to date with our policy, and again, on the top of this policy, if and when we approve this, that will change to 2021 on the top of our current policy. But basically, this is guidance in terms of, as it relates to people who are employed in the district, and how alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and other substances are handled according to legal situations with this. So as you see through this, it's a pretty simple process, simple policy and so forth, but it needs to be updated to meet current regulations in terms of that. So this is another policy that you kind of have to have in place as a district. So with that being said, I'm open to any questions or thoughts on the policy. You are free to waive a reading if there are no questions, waive the second reading, and then approve the policy. If there are questions or things that you have concerns about or updated, we can do that and bring it back next month for a second reading.
Are there any questions on the policy? All right, I need a motion to approve the second reading of policy 6150.
Wait for a second.
Oh, waive
Yeah.
the second reading. Waive Jessica first. Sarah second, all in favor? All right, now motion to approve policy 6150. Janine first, Sarah second, all in favor? All right, thank you. All right, announcements, August 30th, we will have a special board meeting here at 6 o'clock.
Well, can I talk to you? I want to talk to everybody about that. That's the night we'll also do the building tour.
Yeah.
It is a special meeting that you're announcing. It's not on our regular schedule, so you can really set your time for your special meeting. So the reason I bring that up to you is how you want to balance the meeting. And I don't know exactly, but I know you're going to have some action items because we have some hiring to do and so forth. So I anticipate some action items that will need to be done that night. If they don't, then we would cancel it. I would anticipate us having that. So the meeting, if it's in a generally is an action item meeting, but with the reopening, there could be some sort of discussion that night as well. And to do our facility tour that night, that takes some time to get around the building, and get outside and get through the building itself. So you want to balance both of those for yourself, especially for the outside pieces of that. As we enter the end of August and the days shorten on us quickly here. So I just wanted to throw that out. So if you wanted to do the tour before, start the meeting early, do the tour after, those are just, I'm good with whatever.
How long do you think the tour is gonna take?
Oh, everybody that's been on that, usually about an hour. Does everybody remember? I think about an hour to get around the building.
So do we want a tour at 5:30 and then we come back in here?
My recommendation would be to take care of your meeting,
Meeting and
take your
go
action
on.
items, and then that way after the tour's over, you're not obligated to come back in.
Can we still meet at 5:30? Are we okay to meet at 5:30?
Yeah.
Yes. We'll meet here at 5:30, do our quick and then we'll
Yep.
take a walk.
Yep, and then we'll do the tour following that. Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right. And then September 13th will be our regular board meeting at 6. All right, public comment. We welcome any public comments that are related to our agenda. We ask that you be respectful of time. We ask that you state your name and where you live. Please remember you cannot identify specific staff, students, personnel, or board persons. If you need to address a specific situation, we ask that you contact the superintendent directly. Thank you. So do we have any public comments?
I'd just like to ask a question, please. My name is Lynn Swartz, and I live in the city of Fairfield. I'm wondering, is the school still getting money from the WIN project in Fairfield?
Yes, we are.
How much longer?
Until 2030, I believe.
2030.
2030?
2030,
So another
yes.
9
Yep.
years. Okay,
Yep.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any?
We have two questions from Laura Allen. The first one is, does West Canada have plans to incorporate any form of critical race theory into their curriculum? And the second one is, will you allow parents to make the decision for their children whether or not to wear masks for this upcoming school year?
So I'll answer both those questions. There's been no discussion in regards to adjusting any of our curriculum in terms of what we do here as a district here in West Canada. So there's no discussion on that aspect of it. Part two to that question is, will we allow parents to make decisions? I would, I think that goes back to what I said before. I think I'm in favor, I think people in this room are in favor, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we're in favor of allowing anything that we are permitted to allow at this point in time. So if there is, if we're allowed to make local district decisions and parents are allowed to make individual decisions for their children, then we certainly would allow that to happen. you know, I paused just a little bit saying that as a black and white statement, because I would hate to say, yes, you can make your own decision for your own child, and then have some sort of overarching regulation that I can't let you do that, so, but I don't know that.
I think you said that you'll have a meeting Friday, once we have more direction from our local health department, you'll be communicating it more out.
Yeah, so a lot of what goes on in the the meeting this week and the weeks ahead are gonna sort of dictate what we can and can't do as a district. Do I think just to add that second part, then, do I think that it's a little bit different than last year? Yes, because the guidance isn't coming from the state level at this point, in the state DOH, so I do think it's a little bit of a different situation this year.
Anything else?
I do have one question I forgot to
Yes,
ask.
ma'am.
Is pre-K going back to regular time this year?
Everything right now on paper is going back regular times.
Okay.
All our school days, all of our normal school exit days, all those kinds of things are going back normal as of today.
So they'll be able to walk back into that little entryway instead of Mr. Kerr bringing them in this year?
I believe so. I don't want to go that far yet and say yes or no to all those kind of questions till I have a little more of the safety regulations in place, because those are all part of the safety plans and things. But yeah, I keep moving forward with regular schedules, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn. Janine first. Is there a second, all in favor? Thank you, everyone.